Come, spell weavers, reavers, rogues, and men-at-arms, and answer the call of adventure. Pick up your sword, your axe, your spellbook, your bow, your rulebook, and your dice, and join the forces of good in their eternal fight against vile monsters, conspiring min-maxers, horny bards, and blood-soaked murder hobos. Discover the treasure trove of role-playing games here on Rollin' Bones. My name is Ryan Howard, and I shall be your guide. Good evening, Boneheads. Welcome back to Rollin' Bones with Ryan Howard, where we are making old school young again. I'm your host and king of the Boneheads, Ryan Howard. I am the R in OSR, and I am very excited about our show tonight. I have Servant of Shiloh on here again. You may know him as RPG Elite from his YouTube channel, which is excellent, must see for anyone who is into role playing. It really is, just a fantastic channel. And I'm going to bring him on here in just a second. But before I do, everyone, please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you want more people to know what we've got going on here on Rollin' Bones, including short form videos, the second of which is up right now. I'll be working on the third and fourth this weekend, and I will have those up in the next couple weeks. And also remember all of the places you can find me on social media. That is Twitter and Instagram. I am at Howard_Ryan Gregg. YouTube is Rollin' Bones, and Twitch, if you feel so inclined, is twitch.tv/Rollin' Bones Ryan. I am also on Rumble. You can find me there as Rollin' Bones. I'm trying to drive people towards Rumble right now, just because I want to start live streaming there as well. Just have a third platform for live streams for those of you who enjoy that platform. And also one last thing before I bring Servant on. Remember, I have a Teepublic store now. So you can get one of three designs, or all three if you feel so inclined, to the Bonehead t-shirt, the RPG Gorillas t-shirt, and the Rollin' Bones logo t-shirt are all available on Teepublic. All of them are great. Of course, I would say that I designed all three of them. So, yeah. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on the man that you guys are all here to see. Once again, he is RPG Elite on YouTube. Go ahead and pop that up here for you guys to see. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome one of the greatest minds in role-playing games, Servant of Shiloh. Welcome.
Oh my gosh. How do you even top that? What's going on? What? What's going on? That was, hey, what's up? God, goodness gracious. Well, thank you for such a wonderful intro. I don't know what to say there.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem. Look, I don't lie to people on Rollin' Bones. I believe it's true. You have a lot of interesting and really insightful thoughts on role-playing as a whole, and then on specific role-playing games as well. So, I don't say stuff like that lightly. I do think that you're one of the most interesting minds, one of the greatest minds in role-playing games today. So,
thank you very much. I really appreciate that. If only so many more people would think. No, I'm just playing. No, it's. I thank you for that. I know I'm bringing something different, than what most people. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people have a hard time finding me, is the fact that I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. So I'm not on that same algorithm. So I'm on. So it's a little bit more of a upward road but we're gonna get there. And I'm confident that the more people that come through, the majority of them stay. And that actually has been my experience. So thanks very much. Appreciate that. I really do.
No problem at all. And some of the algorithm woes, I imagine, come from the fact that you don't cover fantasy. In fact, you spend a lot of time covering our topic tonight, which is superhero role-playing games.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, and I haven't officially covered any games yet. No, none of, Fridays we do our classic tabletop RPGs. I've only done 2 series so far. So I did Gamma World first, which was very popular, by the way. It actually it picked up a lot. There were people saying, thank you for doing this. Oh, I missed this. Oh, thank you. And people going out and buying the game because of those videos. And that's the whole purpose of the classic tabletop Fridays, is to let people know, listen, they're old, not dead. So that's it. You still can play them. I think one of the things that we get, used to is, and I think it's part of the thinking of the culture is, brand new shiny must be good. No, not necessarily, because there's some brand new shiny stuff that's horrible. So
yeah,
I cover the classics, and I haven't gotten. I have been holding off on superheroes because that's my jam. That's when it comes to superhero tabletop RPGs. That's my jam. That's where I live.
Okay.
And I have a lot of. I haven't covered any on the channel yet, but I have a lot of superhero tabletop RPGs, like a lot. I don't even. It's kind of crazy how many I have. I don't know if I have. I don't have them all, but I do have quite a few. Because some of them I'm not real. If I do have them, I probably will never cover them just because I just don't. I don't see the draw, and yeah. So, but I just got some just a couple of days ago, so I'm excited about that.
Which ones did you pick up?
Actually, it was sent to me.
Gotcha.
I asked her. This is the first time I've ever done this, because I normally get. They contact me. You know how it is. And people just out of the blue. Somehow they probably go on my. What they do is they go to get my email, but they don't read what kind of stuff that I cover on my channel, which is right there where you get my email, right? Which is kind of, and so they send me stuff on fantasy, and I'm like, hello? Did you just read? It's like right there at the top. It's like this long paragraph that says I don't cover fantasy, right? But I do get some people who the companies contact me, and there's been a couple of them contacted me that I looked at what they had, and I was like, hey, yeah, that is something that I'll probably cover on the channel. I could cover on the channel. This was the first time I actually reached out to a company. I actually reached out to them, and because I didn't even know that they had a whole press thing that you can go. I was like, oh, okay. And I just so happened to love the games that the company puts out. And so I was like, well, let me go ahead. Let me ask for them. So I asked for them, and they sent them to me like the next week. I got them, and the video is already up. It's my latest unboxing, which was last week. And this was last Tuesday's video.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never, that's the most exciting unboxing I've done. I'm a fanboy, so I was geeked like a mug. So I got 2 superhero games in that one. The one is Unmasked, and it's by Dennis Detweiler. And the other one, and both of these run off of the Cypher system from Money Cook Games. And I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of that system. And the other one is called The Origin. And this one right here, yeah, y'all gonna be seeing something on this. This one, I downloaded the preview before I got this, and I was like, okay, let me go ahead and let me look at this. I was hooked. I said, oh, I need to get this one. And so when I got it, I read through the whole thing, and I tell you a little disappointing story in my video. I'm not going to tell it here because my wife is laying on the couch over there. She doesn't want me to tell it probably. So I won't tell you my disappointing story. You could always go and watch the unboxing video, and I tell the story at the end. But this one here is the setting idea is wow. And I cannot wait to put something together for that. And I also got, there was another superhero game from Money Cook Games called Claim the Sky. Now I have that as a PDF. So those are the three most recent ones that I got. They're 2 years old, I think, somewhere in there. A couple of years old now. But those are the two that I got. Now, no, that's not right. That's not right. The latest one that I acquired was Absolute Power by, I don't even know how to say their name. That's they're from Canada. I know that. So I just got Absolute Power week and a half ago or something like that. Haven't really had a chance to dig in, look at it, or even really skim over it. But I did see some videos of some people doing some gameplay. I watched those for a couple minutes, and so I got interested in getting that. So I got lots of superhero games. And now that I got these, you're probably going to be seeing some more superhero stuff on the channel.
Mm-hmm. And just to let people know where I am as far as superhero games, one of the big ones that I've been looking at recently is the Savage Worlds Superpowers Companion. That's one of the more recent ones that I acquired. And then, of course, you guys know I'm going to bring this up because you all know how close I am with Alex McCrease. Ascendant is another.
Oh, okay. Okay, check you out. Yeah, see, I don't have either one of those. I have Savage Worlds, like the base.
Yeah.
I just don't have any of the any of the companion stuff. But, eventually, because listen, I got too many.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't do fantasy. That should tell you something. I mean, I did the math one time. I was like, okay, I only do a series, probably do 2, 3 a year, something like that, right? Those are all classics. Classic on my channel means 20 years old or older, right? That means every year something's falling into the classic category.
Yeah.
Or several of them probably are falling into the classic category. And I don't do fantasy. So how long do you think that God willing, how long do you think that I'm going to be able to do this?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be able to do this indefinitely. I know if I were able to do it as faster, I know right now I got, 8, 9 years worth of content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's right now. So, it's probably more. I've gotten more stuff since. So it's more. So this is easy street for me, doing classic, and that's classic stuff. That's classic stuff. That's not new stuff. That's classic stuff. And I got new stuff. I got a whole bunch of new stuff. Oh gosh. I got all kinds of stuff. I got Free League sending me stuff, and I got all kinds of stuff. I'm not gonna be able to cover all that stuff 2 days a week, man. 2. And unless I start getting paid a little bit more money, so y'all gonna have to start watching these videos a little bit more. Know what I mean? Hey, I'm just doing 2 videos. That's all I got in me for the time being. And that is gonna be quite enough. Like I'm 4 months out. I'm in September right now in terms of my schedule. And I can't go really much further than that because it gets kind of, you really don't want to go much further than that. But yeah, I'm about 4 months out right now. So I tell people who want to contact me, just had somebody contact me the other day, and I was like, listen, hey, I like what you got, and I like covering it. I ain't gonna get to it until September.
Yep.
If you're cool with that, then and they were like, oh yeah, you get to it whenever you can get to it. I was like, okay, fine. It's free, right? And they were like, yeah. I was like, okay. And that's one of the perks. That's one of the things I said when I started the channel. I was like, even if I don't get paid a whole lot of Skrilla, it'd be nice just to get the perks of just getting the stuff for free.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. And so I was like, but here's the thing. When you get it for free, there's the unspoken rule that you got to do something. You got to do at least one video for that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So because it's product that you got, so you must do something. And so I've just been getting a lot. I mean, I did one for Alien, did one for Blade Runner, did one for Vason. That's one I'm really looking forward to. I'm not gonna lie about that. I really want to do something with Vason. I did one, but I normally do about 4 for each product that I get. I have a program per se that I go through for each game that I get. And if I cover it on the channel, then there are at least 4 videos for it, right? There's your unboxing if I got it. There's a character creation video, so people, because that's all people really care about. And there's maybe a one-shot adventure, and then I do a review. So there's 4 videos, and I'm just getting into one video. I ain't gonna get to all those games this year.
Yeah.
Hey, it's impossible. It's not gonna happen. So, I kind of, and then there's other ideas that I try to do on Tuesdays, and it's just the calendar is just filling up. But I really want to get to my superhero. That's bread and butter for me.
Yeah.
Like, I started off with the game I refuse to mention by name on my channel, and then I went straight to Marvel and never looked back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went to Marvel. I got so geeked about that. Got some DC as well. That was okay. I got a whole lot of DC, actually. First and second edition.
Yep.
Made for games, whole lot. Like, I don't know. I might have it. I might have everything. I'm not sure. And I just went on eBay just to see how much DC was going for. I didn't think it was going to be all that much. Oh gosh, it's expensive.
Yeah, like a lot of markets, the like secondhand RPG market for a lot of that original material has really just kind of shot through the roof recently.
Yeah. And I was like, because I don't even know the last time I opened up that box. It's not in the worst condition, and the stuff on the inside is in great condition. The box is not, it's still keeping my stuff looking nice. And I was just kind of, curious. I'm like, I ain't getting rid of it. I was like, I'm just curious. And I went on, I was like, oh snap. I was like, I didn't know it was worth this much, and my Marvel stuff was worth a whole lot of money too on my box sets. And I was like, oh, no. I ain't never getting rid of this, but man, I got some cash. I gotta get a little bit of money get over here. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to finally doing something, especially with Origin. This one right here, I'm simply geeked to do something with. It just drew me. As soon as I started reading the setting, it drew me in. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I have to do something. And I even told him too, I said, listen, my schedule is 4 months out. But you see, I run this channel. I can change stuff around. So I was like, you send me that stuff and trust me, I'll change stuff around so I can get to it a little bit sooner. So this is probably going to come sooner than any of the other things that they sent me, because they sent me quite a bit. They sent me that Unmasked. They sent me the actual Cipher system. It's the original book, the second edition on that. They sent me, what else did they send me? They sent me Planebreaker, and they sent me one called First Responder, which everybody wants. I got a lot of comments of people wanting me to do that. Who knew? So I was like, okay, I'll try to put something together for that soon as well. And, it looked very interesting. My wife was even interested in it because she's interested in those kind of like television shows, Chicago Fire and all the rest of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently that's kind of a popular, at least on my channel, it was like, oh, that First Responders. Yeah, I think I want to get into that. Oh yeah, the First Responders. I was like, man, that's a lot of First Responders. So, but they're going to have to wait because Origin's coming first. Origin's coming first. I'm sorry. Both me and my guy who I run a campaign with, we both read it and we're like, oh my gosh, you got to do this. And I was like, yeah, no, I just love the concept. So yeah, I haven't read Unmasked. I like skimmed through it. I haven't even really looked at it. I did look at Claim the Sky. I looked at that more. It's kind of like a base book. I don't know if it's the base book for Unmasked. I know it's the kind of a base book. I mean, you could do Origin without it. You could just do it with just the Cipher System book and just go. But Claim the Sky is kind of recommended. And I can see why, because of the super heroic aspect of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's great. I highly recommend, get the Cipher System, obviously, because you can't do it without it. And then Claim the Sky or Origin. I probably kind of, you don't need both. I'd get Origin first, though. I'm not gonna lie, because I've looked through Claim the Sky and it's not bad. It's kind of like, your normal superhero stuff. But you can get it. You can just have the Cipher System and just get this and go.
Yep.
So, yeah, pretty excited about that. And I'm not going to do my classic stuff for a while, because once I get to Marvel, it's OVA.
Yeah.
Once I get to Marvel, and I'm holding back on that. So I said it'll be some years before I get to Marvel, God willing, because once I get to that, that stuff. I've played it so much, I just know stuff automatically in my head. No rules and page numbers and stuff. That's stupid. And I played it so much. I loved that system. I loved that system so much. It's so super heroic. That's what I love about the system. And if you don't know anything about the system, it's what's called phase rip, but it's words. It's numbers, but it's the words describe the numbers. That's what makes it super heroic. I think it's fantastic. And by the way, Claim the Sky stole that. I just saw it the other day. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, oh, so y'all want to steal a little Marvel? Okay, I get it. It wasn't for the whole thing, but I was like, oh, okay, I see what y'all doing. And it's for a new market, right? For the younger cats who don't know nothing about Marvel. I'm telling you, I need to bring it back for real. Marvel shook back in the day. Marvel shook the industry. It won. I don't know how many awards it won for, like, back then for tabletop RPGs. It won, I think, a couple of awards. Man, and they had a ton. I mean, I have it all. Tons of stuff for that game. Like, the content was crazy. And they just kept coming out with stuff, I kept buying it. And man, and then they dropped the ball. And I could tell when they were starting to drop the ball. I was like, here we go. And they did. I mean, like they came out swinging, man. Like in the 80s, they came out swinging. Kind of like mid 90s. You started to see it lose its steam. I was like, okay, well, had a good run, had an excellent run, actually. Excellent run. System was just so fun. Oh, it was just, I'm just talking about it. The nostalgia is, I was getting these guys together a few years ago playing it, and they were like, this is kind of cool. And I was like, yeah, you just don't know. I said, I need to school all y'all about this stuff, because some of this stuff is really, the classic stuff is just really good stuff. It really is.
It really is incredible how much pretty much every modern superhero RPG borrows from Marvel. And Full Metal Dragon points this out. Even Ascendant, the game that I held up from Alex McCrease, it's kind of like a fusion of Marvel and the DC superheroes role playing game.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was groundbreaking.
Yeah,
it really was groundbreaking because they had tried a couple before, but it, didn't really take off. Well, when they came out with Marvel, and it was like OVA. Part of that was the fact that it was Marvel property, but I tell you, what sold it was the system. It was just super, super, super fun. And I bought, like I told you, I have it downstairs. I bought the DC one just because I was just, I'm superhero nut, so I was just buying anything superhero heroic. So I bought that one. That system is not the same. Kind of crazy. Kind of, I don't know. I'll still play it. No, I mean, but it's kind of so DC-ish, so outlandish kind of thing. And I was just like, it's kind of like the system was, I don't know, technically, Aunt May could kill somebody if she rolled high enough. So it could get kind of crazy there. But I still enjoy. It's got some solo adventures that you could play with it. One was with Superman. The other one was with Batman, and they had another one. Trying to think. I had another solo adventure that you could play with the game as well. They had one solo adventure with Marvel for Thor called Something of Judenheim. And you needed 3D glasses in order to, you needed 3D glasses in order to see where you were going and all the rest of this stuff. It is what it is. I have it. I just so happen to have some 3D glasses. I don't know. I think I tried to play it once, didn't play it all the way through. So pretty much if I would go to it now, it'd be brand spanking new. I'd have to do it all over again. But yeah, that was they both had quite a bit of material. Marvel outdid them, but DC had a lot of material. When Mayfair came out with their stuff, they did have quite a few, had a couple supplements and quite a few adventures and modules and stuff. So they did a pretty good job with that. And I don't know what happened with Mayfair, besides going out of business. So which is probably what happened. But both of the games are, since it's Marvel and DC, Marvel versus DC, both of the games are good. They're good classic games. And I suggest both of them. But if I was going to say which one to pick, I mean, that's a no-brainer. You pick Marvel because Marvel was just pretty much broke the system when it came out with. And it's not like I didn't, I wasn't a big Champions fan. Never was a big Champions fan. Too much stuff. It's just like, dude, at some point you just got to play the game, Try GURPS, the GURPS superhero thing. It's 40 minutes in and I'm just halfway done with my character. I think it's a wrap. I think it's a wrap, for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on? It's like I would think I was getting to the end, and they would say, okay, now you got to do this. And I was like, what? I was like, oh man. I was like, that's okay, man. I was like, I'm gonna throw in the towel. Uncle, I'm crying, Uncle. I'm done here. But hey, I know there's people love the GURP system, and I was trying the supers thing, but nah, that's okay. I have it too. That's what's crazy. I have Heroes Unlimited, but I never did anything with Heroes Unlimited. I don't know why. I have DC Adventures. I have Mutant Masterminds. Not a real big fan of that game at all.
Mhm.
And I know it was popular for a minute, but it was only popular for the people who don't like to role play. So that should tell you something.
Yeah.
Let me see. Gosh, there's so many of them. I'm trying to run through them. I probably know some that you probably never heard of. Like, have you ever heard of the one Golden Heroes?
I haven't.
Okay, Golden Heroes was made by Game Designers Workshop, which is the same cats who made Traveler.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of, kind of flew under the radar. Came out before Marvel, actually. Didn't do a half bad job, actually. It wasn't half bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to cover that this year. I got Traveler coming up that we are starting this Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do a Traveler series for our classic game. That's going to be a while. And plus, there was people waiting for that one.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to do Traveler, basic set, basic classic Traveler here. I got the original, even though I had to get the PDF because my copies are falling apart. But yeah. Golden Heroes was supposed to be scheduled. I was doing Traveler. Then after Traveler, we're going to do a game that I'm not sure a lot of people know, but it's more of in the supernatural area called Dark Conspiracy. So I'm going to do that. And then after Dark Conspiracy, I was going to cover Golden Heroes. So that's Golden Heroes is coming up, but probably with the schedule of the way it's looking, it's probably not going to be until next year. But that didn't do too bad on that one. Gotcha. Quite honestly, it did pretty good. Probably got another one for you too. Ever hear of Superhero 2044?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
Now that one was put out not by any company. It was actually put out by forgot the dude's name, but he hand typed it.
Gotcha.
And you can see it, he just typed it on a typewriter. And it was, I think, 30, 40 pages, something like that. Small thing. The art was, what do you expect?
Yeah.
But it came before, man, that came in the 80.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I think it was somewhere around there. It might have even been late 70s, actually. That might have been 78, 79, somewhere in there. It was somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So that came before Marvel came out. So there were a couple of superhero games that had come out before Marvel. But like I said, once Marvel came, it pretty much broke the bank, and it kind of forged the way for superhero tabletop RPGs, because before that they just weren't real popular. Nobody was really playing them or anything like that. It was always, as it's always been, as if it's the only genre in existence, which is silly to me, but fantasy, 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 fantasy. And then, but they came out with Marvel, came out with the basic set, which is what I had. And I must have read that battle book 50 times. I was just so excited about being a superhero, But then when they came out with Advanced, it was over.
Yeah.
It was over after that. Jeff just, he's put his foot in it. So he did a fantastic job. I got to give him that. Now, yeah, it was not a perfect game because there were some things about it I was like, oh man, y'all should fix this. But by and large, yes, it's a great game. I still recommend that game, and even after looking at games that came after it, it's still a better game.
Yeah,
it's probably the best tabletop superhero RPG that's ever come out.
Absolutely. Now, moving away from kind of specific systems and getting into just running superhero games as a whole, I found there's a lot of issues with kind of getting players to take the concept seriously that, we're going to play a superhero game. And I know, again, you have a lot of great work out there about setting up your table so that, you know, you have RPG elites at your table. You've got people who are serious about the game at your
Hmm.
table. How do you get people in the right headspace to play a superhero role-playing game?
I think one of the things that, okay, one of the things that I do is kind of, at this session 0 is start to explain to people, be like, okay, so this is kind of the tone that I'm going for. And if they haven't read some of these comics, then I'm being like, okay, if you can grab them someplace or whatever, try to read some of these comics. Try to read The Watchmen, or try to read The Dark Knight Returns, or try to read some of these other ones if I'm going for that darker mood of, or if I'm going for kind of like a mid mood or something like that, then I'm like, okay, try to read some of the 80s or some of the 90s X-Men. I said, try to read that. That's the place where we're going with this. And so it's kind of setting up expectations right off the bat, because that's another reason why a lot of people wouldn't play it, because it was always, okay, superheroes, they're campy, they're corny, they're this. It didn't help, the old Batman didn't help at all back in the
Right.
60s. That just kind of really didn't help our cause. And so, and it always struggled, even in, especially with live action, it always struggled. So, when you sat down to play, it was kind of like a romp and play, kind of type of deal. And it's like, nah, it's like, this is you can be way more serious. And so what I try to do is try to get people to actually read a comic that has the mood that I'm looking for. I'm like, okay, even if you don't read comics, just read this one so you know where I'm coming from, and you know the tone here. And that way people will be like, oh, okay, and it'll probably be weird to them, because they'll probably read the comics and be like, I don't know how many times I've heard this. I didn't know comics were like that. They've only been like that since the 80s. I mean, shoot. Or actually 70s, to be quite honest, because they were doing some serious things in the 70s. So yeah, but there have been some really good stories, but the superhero genre has gotten bad press.
Yeah.
And so I would just, really, you sit down, you set expectations, but if you can, one of the best things is just get them to read the comic of the mood that you're going for. If you've got one, tell them, or if you've read one, it's like, oh, this one right here is really, this is what we're going for, and have them read that. And that way, have them read that beforehand. It takes a second to read a comic, it doesn't take that long to read a comic issue.
Right.
Have them read that one comic that pretty much sets up, and you never know. They might even want to buy the next issue or something. That's what I do. And because I do that, never fails. Everybody, when we come to do kind of session 0.5, when we make our characters, because I don't make our characters at 0 on session 0. Then everybody knows, well, this since we're going in this direction for this tone, I'll probably make this kind of character, right?
Yeah. So
that's what I do, and I've always had success with it. Never had. Now and all the, I mean, I had a 7-year campaign in Marvel, and when I wanted to get serious, they got serious. When we did, I did this one storyline with a character called Dream Queen, and yes, she is in Marvel, mostly with Doctor Strange. But these guys, I don't know if I shook them or not. I didn't mean to, but I think I shook them a little bit, because I don't think that they were expecting it to be like that, because she goes into your dreams, and she's wicked. She is very wicked. And so I played it up, and they were I think they were a little uncomfortable. I told them it was coming though, so it wasn't like I just dropped it on them. I told them, I was like, okay, we're going to get ready to go into this kind of serious thing, but it was like more supernatural type stuff. And I like to play that stuff up, and well, I guess it was, they were glad that ended, I guess.
Mhm. Well, and that's something that's kind of interesting about the role playing aspect of superheroes. I think a lot of people, just to use the example of Mysterio from Spider-Man,
Hmm.
I think a lot of people see Mysterio in the comics and they're like, well, why can't Spider-Man tell that these are holograms? Because we have the omniscient viewpoint if we know that Mysterio is, kind of wreaking havoc on Peter's life in this moment.
Right,
But when you switch that around and go into role play,
right.
you throw Mysterio against a party of kind of, low level superheroes in a face rip game. They're not going to know any better than Spider-Man does in that situation. They're probably even going to be a little bit worse off than Spider-Man because they don't have spider sense.
Exactly.
So, at that point, yeah, these things seem real, and you get to kind of mess with players' minds in that way. So,
Yeah,
it's interesting when you take some of the stuff from comics into the role-playing world and how it
yeah.
changes things.
And if you do it right, all of a sudden, you learn something, number one, about what it means to be a superhero.
Yeah.
If the story is going right, you're like, oh shoot, this is serious. It's like, yeah, dude, this really is serious. I mean, they have to put their lives on the line. This is not a joke,
Yeah.
And so if you're running it like that, if you want to run, kind of like your campy Silver Age kind of superheroes campaign or session or whatever, you can do that too. There's nothing wrong with that either. That's fine. It's fun. I can't do that for a long period of time. Okay, that stuff gets old quick for me. You do it for a session or two, and then it's like, okay, let's get to something more substantive here, because this will make a brother leave.
You guys escaped from a giant booby trap, and we had an alien invasion. We've covered the Silver Age.
There you go. that's pretty much it right there. And it's fun, yeah, it could be fun. But now let's deal with something a little bit, let's deal with Daredevil, Born Again type stuff.
Yeah.
Let's deal with Watchmen. Let's deal with, let's deal with the Infinity Gauntlet. Let's deal with, there's some serious stories that I've read, and I still have, because I have like almost 3,000 comics. And there is some serious stories in there that you're going, oh snap, that was really good, and you don't expect it to be so serious. But if you read comics, not today's comics, please go further back. You have to go further back in order to get the good stories, because today's comics is straight up garbage.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrendous, ghastly.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, let's not do modern day comics, but go back to like 2005 or so and before, and you're getting some great stories. You get George Perez and Kurt Busiek with the Avengers. Oh my gosh, that run was, and they were together. They did 2.5 years on that book. Mm-hmm. When they rebooted the Avengers, dude, just fantastic, good storytelling. Man, that was so good. That was so good. And as a matter of fact, they took some of that storyline from for Age of Ultron from that run. Because I was watching the movie, I was like, wait a minute, that's from. They took that from there. Now, Ultron wasn't that stupid, but because Ultron is straight evil in the comics. Yeah. I mean, whew, he's disturbingly evil, but not kind of, James Spader. It was kind of like he had a great voice for it, but
real Ultron is not sardonic.
Yeah, trying to be, he's like, real trying to just kill you.
Yeah.
And really wants to, and kill you without any, he's a robot. So he really is a robot that believes that Earth is better off without humans.
Yeah.
Really believes that. And when he did that whole storyline, they did that whole storyline of Sokovia and the movies and stuff like that. that was the same exact thing that happened in the comics in that run with Kurt Busiek and George Perez. It's the same thing because they had to go to a different country and Ultron had gone there and caused all kinds of havoc. Same deal. Mm-hmm. And what a storyline. Man, that was good. Oh, you know, and so you get people if they're going to do any kind of, and this is why this is different. Mm-hmm. This is different when it comes to that. The setting itself will blow your mind. It's super heroic, but not how you think. Yeah, so you can't do that campy. There's no way to do the origin. There's no way to do this campy. Mm-hmm. It has to be serious. Right. Just because of how the setting is written. Unmasked from the way it looked, maybe. I don't know. I mean, looks kind of sort of that you might be able to do that. But I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked into it. But even when you're coming to the table, and this is just about any tabletop RPG, but I think you struggle with it more, like you said, with superheroes. Yeah. Because, it's gotten a bad rap, But on the other hand, they're always trying to, like when they did, when they did Batman and Batman, The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Returns, and what was the last one? Because I forgot that. What was the last one? With Bane, which was not that good. But their approach on doing those movies when Christopher Nolan was directing them, you can totally see the approach was totally serious. This was not campy. This was serious. Did a great job with that. It helps when you get somebody who plays the Joker. Like what's his name played the Joker? It was
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. Yeah. And when you play the Joker like that, and it's all of a sudden, wow. You don't see performances like that. I mean, once in a lifetime or something. But now it brings credibility to the genre. And even on some of even if you don't like, CW stuff, but even with stuff with Arrow, I watched Arrow for like the first couple of seasons. I watched even The Flash. The Flash was fantastic. The Flash was good. Yeah, I was like super shocked. I was like, am I watching the right channel? This is CW, right? I was like, okay, it is. I was like, okay, because I watched Smallville with my wife because my wife wanted to watch Smallville. I'm going to be honest, because I was struggling. I was at the first, but it did get better. It did get better, but those first. Oh man, that was rough. That was rough for me.
I can't watch Smallville because it's the same reason why I stopped watching Gotham after the first season. There comes a certain point where in my head I go, all right, clearly you want to make a Superman show or you want to make a Batman show, but for some reason you don't want to have Superman or Batman here. Like you want everything else. You want all the villains. The entire rogues gallery is here. Clark has met every single villain he's going to encounter before he's even put on the tights. Why not just make a Superman show at this point? Exactly. It was, and they dragged, what was that? 9-10 seasons? Yeah. It was like they dragged that out for like ever. And I was like, but it was cool to watch. I got into it because it was cool to watch, and you got into him being Clark and all the rest of that, or the Blur or whatever it was called, or this, that, and the third. And I was like, okay, but I liked Arrow much better, but Flash was even better. Mm-hmm. Flash was the writing for like the first 2-3 seasons, man. And I have them. And I was like, man, this writing is off the chain. It was the same thing that happened with Supergirl, right? Yep. First, I don't know, almost like halfway through the season, for first season, I was like, it's ghastly. This is bad. But then something switched. I kept watching and something switched. I was like, they changed writers. You can tell. Because all of a sudden, out of the blue, I was like, oh shoot, this is getting good.
Because those first, I'm gonna tell you, like the first 7, 8 episodes is horrible.
Mhm.
I struggle. I must have come back to it to try to watch it, man, 4 or 5 times, man, just to get past all that. But then the writing got really good. And I was
Mhm.
like, okay, you need to get good writers. And again, this stuff translates because more people are going to watch that stuff, and then they're going to translate that into your tabletop RPG. And if you don't
Yep.
have the good, if you didn't have a good story, you were treating it campy, or it was bad writing and all the rest of that stuff, they're going to bring that stuff and that attitude to the table. So now you've got to set expectations, right? In terms
Mhm.
of, okay, but now since we have so many live action superhero stuff, right? It's the age of superheroes as far as, and that's even going to the toilet right now.
Yeah.
But you can actually just reference, right? Even though I would rather you reference a comic. I'll be quite honest on this. I would
Mhm.
rather you say, hey, just go read this comic because it's better overall. I'm just saying. But you could, for those who are, you know, um, grammar averse, you could just go ahead and just say, okay, well then watch this actual movie or watch this show, watch this episode.
Mhm.
This is what we're going for, right? Because
Yeah.
we've got like a plethora of this. It's all out there now. So it's like, okay, so go ahead and watch that. And now you'll get the tone that I'm talking about.
Yep.
And I think today you could run a superhero tabletop RPG campaign or a mini adventure or whatever, and really have it to where people would not look at being serious as out of place for it because now they've been trained by the live action stuff that, oh yeah, well, I guess it can be serious. So I don't think you're going to struggle as much as you did before with having uh, having a campaign that has substance,
Right.
that's a superhero campaign. I think you can probably gather some people around and it could be a pretty good campaign.
Mhm. Now, this is a little bit further back on chat here, but Devil's Theater made the point about getting murder hobos to play high four-color superheroics being a problem. I think one of the issues that we run into when getting people into superhero games, for some reason, everyone thinks that they have to be, or they're going to be expected to, everyone has to be Captain America, everyone has to be Superman, everyone has to be super moral and upstanding. When in reality, if you look at like the pantheons across Marvel, DC, whatever company, Captain America, Spider Man, Daredevil, Ghost Rider, and Wolverine are all on the same side. And those are
Mm-hmm.
all completely different like ways of approaching
Yep.
superheroic. So, like, yes, if you have a player who is super bound and determined to be edgy McEdgelord, you can bring a Ghost Rider type character to a superhero game, and people might laugh at you, but it'll work. You can do it just as long as you're not like killing citizens and stuff like that.
Yeah. It is the freedom of, there's an expectation, right? In um in superhero games to be a hero.
Yeah,
Hello? It's in the name.
yeah.
Um, so taking that, you know, and going from maybe another tabletop RPG that just allows you to do whatever, even though it's the hero's journey that really, I don't play in campaigns where the players are not heroes.
Right.
Sorry. That's
Yeah.
just the way that I am. I want you to be a complex hero though. If you ever, for example, if you saw one of the best live action adaptations that just really immersed you in the character correctly, believe it or not, because I have a ton of his comics, was a Netflix Daredevil series.
Mhm.
My wife saw that and she was blown away. And so was I. Shoot. It's like I just got done saying on my video. I I remember when it came out, and it came out 3 o'clock our time, and I binge watched the mess out of that at 3 o'clock in the morning. Or 6 o'clock, I did all of them. I was close to, I mean, I watched a good portion of it because it only came out with like 10, 11 episodes. I watched it, did a great job. Okay, it wasn't funny.
No.
That wasn't funny. There was no campiness. It was straight serious.
Yeah.
And so but there's these moral dilemmas that he has to go through, the testings and all of these things. Putting together stories and campaigns like that where it tests people, because then again, you got a lot of people who come to the table and all they want to do is have fun, laugh, and all the rest of that stuff, and they want to do all that stuff. Okay, and that's fine. That's fine. But, okay, as adults, it should get old really quick.
Yeah.
And there should be something like, okay, if we're telling stories here, okay, then we need to tell something with a little bit more substance here. Yeah, it's good to laugh all sometimes and stuff like that, but we've got an opportunity to tell a story here, and it's just like you brought up a lot of great characters there. So you brought up Captain America, Spider-Man, Daredevil. Listen, all of those cats approach things differently. And Cap is one of my faves, but he's even had to go through it.
Oh yeah.
He's been put to the test many, many times. While Ghost Rider, hey, Spirit of Vengeance thing, yeah, that's kind of like, this is what I'm going to do. Sorry if you don't like it, so but then you've got Daredevil who, law, cannot break the law, and always has to, it's always getting to the edge there, right? So you have to present some great plot points for individual characters who are sitting around the table, but you got to have the right players for that kind of adult role playing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when they get around the table, because I just got done watching one, or actually watching it and then shutting it down, on YouTube, that was gosh, just wasn't good. And because there's always this, it just seems like it's very hard for people, and I have to do a series on this, and I'm not even lying. I think we'll do a series on this. It seems to be like there's no permission to actually role play. There's no permission. I know we're sitting down and we're playing a role-playing game.
Yeah.
But there is almost this unspoken embarrassment to actually get into the character deeply.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's not, nobody ever says it, but we don't want to go that deep. I'll just keep it I'll keep it this shallow. And I'll just stay there and we'll just have some fun and whatever, because to go deeper in that, I don't know, maybe it might touch a nerve, and maybe it might be something that, maybe it might just affect you. These are stories. Geez, our whole lives are stories. We're enamored with stories as human beings. All across his story. Hello?
Yeah.
Stories are huge. But actually, when we get around the table, it could be a great opportunity to put together a great story. Makes us think a little bit, or maybe it might even make us grow a little bit. And who's to say that a superhero campaign can't do that? Of course it can. Right. If you put it, if you put the right elements in there. But you also, again, like I said, it's also getting the right people. And if you always, you're always been with shallow folks around the table, okay, well, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, And again, this is kind of breaking people out of the fantasy mindset. And this applies to any genre, like outside of fantasy. This even applies. I love my Western games. This applies when you're bringing people into Westerns,
Hmm.
when you're bringing people into stuff like, Spycraft or
Yeah.
really just any non-fantasy game. The circumstances of play change, and you're
Hmm.
not dungeon crawling. You're not, you know, encountering hordes of enemies in superhero games the way you are in any kind of fantasy RPG.
Hmm.
Encounters, like your big gameplay moments, you're gonna have stuff like, Shocker robs the bank, and he blasts his way out of the vault, and you see him, and then as he's trying to get away, he takes one of his gauntlets and he zaps uh, a building across the street, and so like there's people falling out of that building. There's a car turned over, and someone's trapped inside of it, and then Shaka runs the other way. And so you guys, as a adventuring group, have to figure out, okay, are we going to pursue Shaka? Are we going to help those people? We going to, split up and try to do both? What do we prioritize here? That's what every encounter in a superhero game turns into. And there will be moments where, uh, to bring it into the DC universe, you confront Intergang, and you've got a whole bunch of Intergang guys running around. There's plenty of goons to fight in that situation, but you mostly have these situations where a powerful villain knows that he can't necessarily hurt you physically in this moment, but he's going to force you to make difficult decisions. And
Hmm.
it's about overcoming those difficult decisions. That's in my opinion, the essence of superhero role play.
I think so. I think one of the I'm going to go back to that when I was running that storyline with Dream Queen.
Hmm.
I think one of the reasons why uh, my players, because they weren't the most emotional. I mean, back then I wasn't really RPG elite. You just kind of play with whoever you could play with, and
Yeah.
they weren't the most emotionally mature individuals in the world, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So when I went there, see, they couldn't physically do anything to her. She's in your dreams.
Hmm.
Okay, so you're gonna have to think of something else, and you know how uncomfortable you get when you have a bad dream, and you wake up from
Yeah.
a bad dream, right? And not only was it her, um, I did this twice to them. I did one with Dream Queen, and then I did one with Despair. It was different though how I did it.
Hmm.
Because with Dream Queen, she's in your dreams, and she is extremely powerful, extremely. And it wasn't she. I mean, she's kind of crazy, like Nightmare or something like that. Uh, but you can't. What do you do with that? Because they're like Avenger type characters. But how do you handle that? She's in your head.
Yep.
All right. So now you got to come with a different approach to this. It was the same thing when I dealt with. I brought Despair into it. That's the name of the character.
Hmm.
And Despair is he messes with your emotions.
Yep.
So, and he's on the fringes though. You don't see him, and so he's there. And so how do you deal with these things? And I think one of the reasons why they felt so uncomfortable was that this wasn't. I don't think that they kind of signed up for the uncomfortableness of having to deal with emotional things within a tabletop RPG.
Right.
But that's what stories do. Good ones will do that. They will draw you in. They will get you emotional. You'll be reading stuff and be like, "Oh shoot, what is going on?" I remember when uh, I read the Joker shooting Jim Gordon's wife.
Hmm.
Bro, I I was I no, I did not expect it at all. I have it downstairs. I remember laying in my bed And when I saw, I was shook. I sat up in my bed. I was like, no, no way. Right. And I'm reading this story. And the good stories like that is the ones you remember, because I'm bringing it up right now. And I don't know how many years ago that I read that story.
Mm-hmm.
The good stories do that to you. And most of the time, though, a lot of people don't like to go there in tabletop RPGs. They don't want to. They don't want to get that deep. They don't want to touch that nerve.
Right.
Makes you feel uncomfortable. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we have a whole bunch of games today, you know, that talking about the safe rule, the safe table. And if you want to be safe, what are you talking about safe? It's
Right.
not like and somebody's going to kill you. What? Because you have to deal with an adult subject?
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading that the other day, and I was just like crazy. Because even though I love these guys' game, I hate their politics. And I was reading some of that stuff. I was like, get out of here with that nonsense. These are grown people who actually can have to play. And if y'all can't handle that as grown people, then y'all got other issues. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like playing difficult characters. I like playing characters different from me, going through difficult things, because it makes you're able to, and I'm going to talk about this in next month's video, it makes you able to empathize, which is what a lot of people that gather around the tabletop RPG, they're not able to do. That's why they can't connect not only with the other characters around the table, they can't even connect with their own character, because they can't really slide into their shoes, because they don't really go that deep. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's always campy when it comes to if I can get the best and most powerful power here, so you got your min-maxers who are trying to get into the house. Oh yeah, he's superhero, so it's min-max. It's got to be the most powerful. I want to be like Thor. I want to be like the Silver Surfer. I want to be like Superman. Blah 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 blah. Ad infinitum, ad nauseum. Let's just quit right now. If we're going to be doing that, there's nothing in that would interest anyone who really loves a good story, which is what this is. It's a storytelling medium. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. It is a collaborative storytelling medium. I hate to tell it to people who always want to say that no, this is not about a story. Okay, what are you doing then?
Right. Yeah.
What exactly are you doing around the table? Are you just playing a board game? Because this is not a board game. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing? The story is being developed as you play. It is a storytelling medium. Hello? So that's why if you're an RPG elite, you're not going to find a whole lot of people who are like that. It's just the way that it is, So you got to do a couple things. You have to go, okay, well, you either have to settle, and RPG elites won't do that, or you just wait until you get that right group. But when you get that right group and you play, I am telling you, you'll never forget the sessions. Will be deep.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we are kind of running up against our time here. And again, it's always great to talk to you, because we always come around to these concepts that no one talks about with role-playing games. And honestly, I do think with superhero RPGs, the biggest thing that trips people up is they don't understand how to deal with an RPG is basically like a moral praxis machine almost. Mm-hmm. You're essentially interfacing with situations that aren't real. It's a simulation, but you're having to impose some kind of moral philosophy upon this world, and view things through a moral philosophy, maybe even one that's not your own. Mm-hmm. So, I think a lot of people aren't prepared to do stuff like that, or don't think about the games like that. And that keeps them from kind of reaching that deeper understanding of what you're actually doing when you're role playing.
Put yourself in somebody else's shoes, but the only way that you can do that is you have to be able to be vulnerable. And see, and that's a no-no for pretty much most people who play tabletop RPGs. Shoot, I've played characters that I've been like, oh shoot, I'd never do this. but at the same time, it does have me look at things different, at least from that perspective, and understand it a little bit better because I was willing to be vulnerable and put myself in that character's shoes, even though that character is the total opposite of who I am.
Mm. Yeah.
So and especially in when you think that it's so simple in a superhero thing, because people just think, oh, it's good guys versus bad guys. It is way more complex than that. It is super more complex than that. I mean, Daredevil is not, it's like you said, Daredevil is not Wolverine, is not Ghost Rider, is not Captain America. Yeah, they're all on the same side, but they're handling things totally different. Is not the Punisher. Hello.
Yeah.
And one of the great, and I don't know if you've ever seen this, I'll make it short, but there's this great scene in a comic between Captain America and Punisher, right? And the Punisher just gets done killing somebody. He just got done killing these dudes. And Captain America goes ballistic on him, starts beating him down. And the Punisher is not fighting him.
Yeah.
He's not fighting him. He's like on him. And so he's bleeding from his mouth and bleeding from his nose. And Captain America is just saying, fight, fight. Why don't you fight? And the Punisher goes, no, I'm not going to fight. Not you. Not you. Whoa. And all of a sudden, it's kind of like, whatever you thought about the Punisher, the guy's got a code. And all of this is what I'm talking about. Are you willing to put yourself in their shoes to see that? Yeah, the guy is, I used to collect the Punisher and I was like, man, I can't do this. But this dude, I understand his code. I get it. I really do. He's a criminal, but at the same time, I get it. I understand it. I totally understand it. And I get where he's coming from, for real. I empathize with this guy. See, there you go.
Yep.
And so if you're going to sit down and play really any tabletop RPG, but I think especially a superhero one, just because, again, the bad press, even though it might be a little simpler today, like I said earlier, you have to just be willing to do that. If you want to get more than just some kind of superficial, shallow experience where it goes no deeper than your ankles. Okay, you got to be willing to go a little bit further than that.
Yep. Absolutely.
I told you I'll keep it short.
All right, well, guys, that is going to do it for Rolling Bones this week. Servant, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
This has been a great conversation. I love talking about stuff like this.
Hey, I tell you what, if I ever, I'm thinking about doing a live stream. Don't know when, but I'm thinking about having a couple people on with me, and I'd love to have you on if I do it, if I can find a time to do it. I'd love to have you on, man, because, but when I live stream, I'm going to do it for a while. So it's going to be a couple of hours, but, because this is something that, when you look at some of these other live streams of other people on other YouTube channels, you kind of have to see where the whole conversation is going from everybody's perspective to get it in and everything. And it takes a while to get through that. But I think that it would be good to see this to see this perspective, and the different perspectives that people bring to the table, the different philosophies that people bring to the table when it comes to tabletop RPGs. And I think that takes a little longer than, a 15, 20-minute video that I might pop up on on the screen. So I'll try to do that, but I'd love to have you on, man. So kind of poke me every once in a while to see if I'm going to do it, because I'll be like, I'll get to that, it'll be next year, so like that. So, like, as Max said, I was like, that's what happened with him. And I was like, oh, shoot, I waited too long. But yeah, man, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This is, I always like doing this kind of stuff. It really warms my heart, and it allows us to go further into things that obviously we don't normally get to do in tabletop RPG in the space.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. And next week, I'm not sure who exactly I will have on, but we will be back next week for Rolling Bones. So until then, guys, whether you rolled a 1 or a 20, I'm so glad that you rolled your bones with me, Ryan Howard, and I will see you guys next time.
Peace. Baby, start going.